Hello interweb, this is Dannage, and I want to talk to you about planning and preparation. Mainly because I've been away. There's no doubt about it. I have been far away from here. I've done a couple of years between doing some content. And I came back to try and I haven't been playing either. But there's been house moves, there's been selling of houses, there's been buying of houses, there's been all sorts of stuff. There's been job changes, there's been death. But so I was coming back, and I was just going to go and start making some maps and launching some new maps. I've just put one on the Steam Workshop recently, Molten End. Look for that. Download it. Tell me if you like it. Tell me if it works. Gosh. I started watching this series on YouTube with 5 of the top, not the top necessarily, but five very good and very popular YouTube City Skylines creators, content creators. They're doing a collaboration, and that collaboration said to me, Dannage, you've got to go play this game. If you're going to go play the game rather than making a map for people, then frankly you have to also record it. So go and do that. And so there was stuff happening there, and it was like, okay, I'll do that. I'll grab it. And I did this. I recorded following a van through this very map, and I did that 4 times. Because none of this is scripted. This is all made up, which is why in a few minutes there'll be just like 19 minutes of silence as I just stare at the screen and think, what am I supposed to be doing? And so 4 of those, and on the 4th one I was like, I'm relatively happy with that. And then we started doing some stuff, and then I recorded 5 half-hour episodes. Ooh, 5 half-hour episodes. Brilliant. And, I'd done some checking. I'd checked that the visuals were looking okay, and I'd checked the audio worked. Or did I? Well, yeah, kind of. I checked the audio worked with my headset. And in my headset, I was perfectly clear and loud, and everything was fine. And it was only when I was taking the first of those videos with the intent of putting, topping and tailing it and preparing it for release on Monday, that I realised actually playing it without going through the headset, I sounded like I was in a tin can, and I was 412 miles from the microphone. So, kind of thought, does that mean I need to re-record, maybe speed up the footage, turn them into a time lapse, and I don't know, have already, because 2.5 hours of city build already, and explanation of what I was doing, and stories galore. But no. So all of that's gone. And we're going to start again. Isn't that exciting? It's exciting for you because it's going to mean that this is slightly less sort of decision-y, because I already kind of know what I want to do, how I want to start the town. Anyway, so what are we doing? What I wanted to get from this, if you want to look at USP, or what's going to be special about a Dannage City Skylines video as opposed to anybody else's, is that basically my USP is that I'm less polished, I'm less practiced, less prepared, obviously, and I'm conscious of the fact that I am rubbish, or mediocre maybe. I mean, there are worse, I'm sure, out there. I'm sure there are people that either just don't speak at all, or they just sort of mumble really quietly and hello. I'm happy. So, what did I want to get out of this build anyway? Generally, maps that I've made, very flat, especially in the 25 tiles. I like playing with 25 tiles. I would do 81 tiles normally, but my laptop, not a potato, but City Skylines with a lot of assets, tends to sort of go, when you're 81 tiles and you try and build a huge city, it does kind of go, whoa, no, thermal shutdown. I never knew that laptops had a thermal shutdown until I had one. Anyway, that's by the by. So one of the things that I wanted to do, one of the things that I liked about this this collaboration that I've been watching on YouTube, go and follow it. 5 Builders, 1 City. It's Sardus. It's City Planner Plays. It's Biffa. It's Imperial Jedi. It's the Timester. Timister. I think. I mean, I would have looked at it and said Timester, but that's not how he said it, and I should imagine he knows. So, anyway. One of the things that I was liking about their series was that they had separate areas and they were building separate things in the region. So it wasn't just one big grid city. There's a lot of grids in their city, but actually they've got 5 different styles and they're working in sort of different areas. And so I kind of wanted to do some of that. So I wanted a map that had a little bit more interest to it. Different areas, different regions, and a little bit more hilly, and obviously this is a little bit more hilly. Are we coming up to the edge of the map soon? So what we're going to do is we're going to grab this guy, and we're going to follow him. We're going to follow him back. So I wanted an interesting map, and I also, so with different areas, which would encourage me to build different sections and different things. But also, I noticed there was a lot of infrastructure changing there, and I don't know how many maps you go and download on the Steam Workshop from City Skylines, but there's a lot of content creators out there, map makers, that put a lot of infrastructure in to their maps. Some I've seen one probably, I would say a year ago, but it's probably more like 4 years ago or 5 years ago, because I took a 2-year break. The last 2 years have just disappeared. I mean, I haven't even mentioned there's a pandemic going on. I'd like to think closing stages, or past the halfway point at least. But yeah, all of that. Anyway, ages ago, I even saw one. They'd done the whole road network. They'd basically recreated a town, but they put all of the road networks in. So you sort of, all you had to do was zone. That's great. But I was looking for a map that I could change, and the map maker wouldn't feel too offended by the fact that I had changed their map somewhat. So I was looking around, and there's a chap that I follow that I have mentioned before in my channel. He's a reviewer. He reviews maps, What Map series, it's called, and he also does tutorials and things like that. And his name is BonBon B, and he's flying the British flag. Yes, for YouTube content creators, grid cities as much as everybody loves them. Then they're all American. Then hooray for British YouTubers. They all have a cup of tea. I've noticed the biggest ones have cups of tea on standby. I did have a cup of tea earlier, if that helps, and some biscuits. Nice. Anyway, so I wanted a map that didn't have too much. Not that it didn't have too much effort applied to it, but I wanted a map that was good, but somehow didn't have a ton of infrastructure. And BonBon B had basically made this map. Now, he did start off, I believe, with an imported height map, but this is a real-life location. Date, which I'm imagining is probably, as it's in Japan, pronounced something like date. But he basically did this as a speed build challenge, so there might be a video out there somewhere with him making this. He's basically made this map in 90 minutes, which... it's pretty impressive, if you ask me. I mean, you might find the roads a little bit, at certain points there might be a little bit of terrain glitching, or the road's not quite aligned, but 90 minutes, guys, come on. Now what I have done here, I have made some tweaks to the map because I've heard about some problems with network extensions too, so I have replaced all of the roads with mass transit roads. I forgot to replace the road that was coming down from a junction, that sort of interchange that we saw before. But I've done that, and there was also no rail on the line, despite the fact there's a rail along the coast. He hadn't spotted that, but again, 90 minutes. That's pretty impressive. So what I've done, the other changes I've made. So apart from accidentally deleting a road that I shouldn't have done. And apart from upgrading all of these roads to mass transit 2-lane highways rather than network extension 2-lane highways, I've added a little bit of a train line, just like 3 nodes of a train line down that end and down that end, so that those are the connecting points. And then I will do all of the rail infrastructure in game. That will be terribly exciting for you, won't it? And then all of the trees, there are a lot of trees on the edges. Now these trees, for some reason, level of detail, sort of, if you zoom out a little bit, then they turn into a pea that's been smashed in the fridge door. But otherwise they're alright from up close. I'm sure that takes less memory. I can't find a setting to change when they squish against the fridge door as to when they come into focus, but hey, if there is a setting, let me know, and I'll do it. I've got, the graphics are on high detail and everything like that, so they shouldn't be doing that necessarily. But anyway, I've moved. There were a load of trees on the edge of the map, the very edge, so almost you couldn't see them. You had to zoom right up, and I don't want wasted trees, so I've brought those in a tiny bit from the edge, upgraded these roads to 2-lane mass transit, and then added the rail point at either side. Other than that, I haven't really done anything. But I'm imagining that this map, BonBon, not tremendously protective of somebody coming along and saying, I've decided to change a bit of... Oh, there's a bit of a dip. Is it a bit of a dip, or is it an optical illusion and it's actually a swing to the side? No, it's a little bit of a thing. There we go. So I might do something about that, or I'll probably not notice it later. Is he going to be upset? No. Hopefully this will be not offensive, because he sort of knocked this out the park in an amazing time, and therefore would not perhaps be as offended as some content creators might be if I try and let's be honest, ruin their infrastructure, because I'm not a fantastic drawer of highways and things, or I don't also have loads of experience with sort of studying cities or layouts, and I'm not a and I don't work in that field. So yeah, it's gonna be a little bit sucky. I'm gonna make a lot of mistakes, but then that's what makes me different. It doesn't make me better; it makes me worse. But it's going to make me worse in a sort of a cute way that you kind of go, doesn't he suck? But that's the British way, right? That is the British thing. So here we see some rail. So we're just going to go up to the edge now, and take my favourite bit, zombie apocalypse. Pedestrians all walking along the highway, and then getting in cars that appear right at the beginning. I love this. I don't know why this happens. I don't know if this happens on all maps. I've normally got the fog on at the edge. But it might just be because this is changing from a 3-lane to a 2-lane. Who knows? But either way, it is pretty groovy. I am enjoying that. So, what are we doing in the first episode? I say the first episode, technically the 6th episode. But never mind. So, what I'm going to do, I'm going to take you up here. Look at this. This is, as say, real-life place in Japan. The only change I believe he's made from an infrastructure point of view is that there is a river. Now, there is a river in the actual place, but it comes from over here. It's coming off down from mountains over here or something, as opposed to coming from that lake. And he's just connected that up. Oh no, big deal. Big shame. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through and make some regions, or make some little zones. Are they regions? I can't remember. But yeah, so what I thought about for here was I liked this little sort of, I mean, this is obviously once a river, or there's some water that comes down here, so I thought that might be a natural place for perhaps a little village, a starter village. So, oh, it's got my caps lock on. That's a little village. What we're doing here is we're going to plan our boroughs, or our zones. Now, one of the things I want to have up here is going to be a renewable energy hub. I've called it I called it renewable energy hub. I'm making this a massive region, and it's no, I mean it is going to be spread out, but no, basically just because I went to Europe a while back. I'm gonna set this in Europe. I think, as opposed to, I'm not going to set it in Japan because I've got no idea what Japanese roads look like. But I've hardly got an idea how European roads look like. I like the grid cities, but I don't like the grid cities because they represent anything that I'm more used to. They just you make an 8x8 square and then you can get 4x4 zones in it, and it's the maximum efficiency for buildings. Anyway, this was renewable energy hub. Now, this wasn't the source of power. This wasn't intended to be the primary source of power for the city. Actually, what I was going to have, now I did just have a region here called Old Town, but I ended up making some services and a sort of cargo hub here, because the train line, I needed to remember that the train line actually has to come down. This is the other end of it, but it basically comes down all the way down here, and it does go overground. I put a tunnel in here. I didn't actually check it. I probably should have checked it up here on Google Earth, but I actually looked probably here, and it just went above ground. But then that's all big and flat there. So, of course it will. I am going to, I didn't name this there before, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that slightly bigger there, and that is going to be called I'll tell you what, actually, I'm going to call it Avanya Valley. Services? Yeah, I can get that. No, Avanya Park. And the only reason for that is because what we were doing is we basically started off vanilla, and then said let's get some assets, and then what we were basically looking at with assets. I say I on my own, because I've realised before publishing anything that we couldn't actually publish anything because I suck. But we sort of went in and took some assets for services, water and garbage processing, all the horrible ones, and they have some nice replacements in the workshop, but they're all done by Avanya. So I tipping my hat to Avanya there, because basically that's just everything. Everything in that place is going to be vanilla or having been built by Avanya. And you will see, because the first thing that we will do is we will fill in Avanya Park services once we've done all of the regions. We're going to sort out the regions. Now, this felt a little bit like... so there was a road coming down here. This was a network extensions road, which I forgot to upgrade to a mass transit road before saving the game. And when I tested it, which I do test some things, I checked out all the highways and I was like, yeah, everything's fine. And then it was like, oh no, this did meet into a single road, which then snaked down. There was some blue mantle issues with some terraformed land there, but all I've done is I've just taken out the ground. It was forced at ground level to sort of, and then a little tiny little dip, and all I've done is I've just raised it and straightened it. And yeah, you can pretty much get under there. That's going to be a bit of a challenge to see if we can fit under there, but might dip the road there once we connect it up. Anyway, so this felt like it was Old Town. This felt big enough to sort of qualify as the city. Now I have two minds as to at some point, that could have looked interesting as the city, sort of in this little valley, in a floodplain. But I want to make this the city largely because if I just follow one of these cars, it's basically as I was sort of looking out, following one of these cars through here. Just the way that this area opened out, and it was raised highway over the whole area, and there's obviously a lot of there's river there, but it just felt like, and I'm gonna name I named the region in here Urban Sprawl, because I just thought, you know what, I can see Grid City. This is where I put the grid. And this is basically just low-rise houses as far as the eye can see, and you're just driving past just rows and rows and rows of houses. So it was literally just following a car out there, and I just suddenly saw this never-ending sea of buildings and streets there, which made me think, well, then that makes the next sort of most sensible location around this area for a harbour, perhaps. But somewhere along these lines is basically then this is the city. This is the modern area, and it's going to have all of the city stuff, high density things, and we may break this down into more regions. Okay, so we might have a thriving city centre. We might have some high-tech stuff. We might have some low-tech stuff, some low rises around the edges. But this essentially becomes the city. The city. Dun 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 dun. This area, as I say, all of this area, didn't mean to go up there, but did mean to join it up there, and this I would just want to make as, I called it Urban Sprawl. If you have a better name, bearing in mind that this, as I say, this isn't going to be based in Japan, even though the real life map is in Japan. We're just closing our eyes and sticking our fingers in our ears and saying, actually, this is somewhere in Europe. So, for the moment, I'm going to call that Urban Sprawl. You are welcome to come up with other names, though most names that I hear are derogatory and about my parentage. Questionable parentage. Over here, in the meantime, I figured that, there were two areas that felt that they'd belong in here. Foggy Square. He was an interesting character in Daredevil, wasn't he? This was a river town. And that was because over in here I thought that Rivertown could provide some people for... They basically wanted to put all the industries in. Since I last sort of did a proper play for the game, I've bought Park Life, which I didn't have before, and I bought Industries, which I didn't have before. But basically I bought Park Life and then took a break, and then when I came back from the break I bought Industries, and I'm like, oh, what am I doing with this? But so I've never actually really used Industries in anger. I've basically placed a couple of buildings, figured out that it works by having the relevant stuff underneath, the raw materials underneath, and what we're putting in here, we are on the side of a mountain here, but you will notice that the ground is a different colour, and that's because that is ore industry. Ore industry. I hope we have infinite supplies turned up. And then out in the sticks, out in the sea, is where we have... let me show you. I suppose I should have shown you this. We've got a lot of oil. Not much fertile land, but we've got some forests, and this is where the ore is. And so we come out here. We're going to make an area down here, which is basically, let's see, you know what, we can expand that as we go. High heights. High heights. Hey, that's probably the most Japanese sounding district I've seen. High heights. Oil fields for now. So, and then over here, although this land isn't fertile, this field, you know, it's flat, it's raised a little bit, so you know, you might be fooled into thinking that this lower area should be fertile, or it should be more fertile, and yeah, it probably should. But really what we're going to do here in this rough region is we are going to have our farming. So what have we got? So we've got the renewable energy centre, we've got the two sort of surrounding villages, the little river town and the little sort of village in the mountains. Sheffield Heights, a lot of heights in this place. Farm industry, I'll call that for now. So we've got the farm industry, the urban sprawl and the oil fields, the city, the ore industry and the forest industry. We've got the river town, the old town and the industrial sort of services area. So that's 9, and then the renewable energy hub and the little village, that's 11. Yes, so that's one more than I've been having because this didn't really start out as its own region. So yes, there we are. There we have it. We have an area. We have a map. We have... Ooh! Hey, I didn't realise... I should have done this. Hey, should have done this last episode. Or last time around recording things. I've actually got the areas shown out on here. Brilliant. Thank God. Okay, so that's where we are. That's what we're going to be playing with. We're going to have at least 11 areas to start building out. Hopefully we're going to sort of focus on different areas at different times. Certainly that's what I've been watching on the other channel. As I say, go and check it out. 5 Builders, 1 City. It's very good. So hopefully different stuff every episode. We'll be focusing on a slightly different area to try and get that in. And other big challenges are, so where we will start next episode is with the park services, but we also have to hook up the train, and that will probably take half an hour just to sort out the park services. And so what I might do, well, I'm not going to tell you. Let it be a surprise. You'll have to come back and watch, because I don't know if it's going to happen exactly the same way as it happened yesterday. So, thanks for watching. Come back soon. and we will. I'm probably gonna do three releases a week, 3 episodes a week, alternate days, or Monday, Wednesday, Friday, maybe if I'm lucky, and we'll see. But come back again soon, and thanks for watching. Bye bye.